Good evening, ladies. Good evening, ladies. And everybody, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
It has been an interesting weekend for me. How are you feeling, Stephanie? You feeling better?
I'm feeling better. So I wanted to share with you all some news. It's not so good news, so please keep her in prayer. Charmaine's husband died tragically. Died.
Oh no.
Yeah. On the 9th. So that's why you won't use Charmaine's not here. She on the 9th. He was just found unresponsive. And so she's right now trying to plan a funeral.
Oh no. Oh wow.
Yeah, he's only 50.
Oh.
So please
we're definitely going to send her a lot and send her just so much of our love. You know, because that's so hard. That's difficult. Yeah. That is just so difficult. Wow, it's been interesting. This weekend, what would be Saturday morning, my office caught fire, which is why you see me where I am here. And if I had continued my regular routine that I normally do, which is when I take the big break, the hour and a half break, I normally would take a nap. And I had noticed the Aretha Franklin documentary and said, oh, I'll watch a little bit of that instead of going and taking the nap. So I was sitting on the couch. And while I was sitting on the couch, I was smelling this stuff like something was burning, right? And I'm like, I didn't put anything on the stove. I used the microwave. It was silly. And then the alarm started to go off. And I'm like, oh, these silly alarms, they just keep going up for no reason. So I kept just turning the alarm off and going back and putting the code in to turn the alarm off. And I was getting ready to call my daughter to say, this silly alarm will not go off. And then something just said to walk down the hallway. And I walked further down the hallway and saw that my office was just in flames. So I got 3 really, really big like sheet towels and got them in the sink, really cold water on them, and just went in there and threw one on. That didn't work. Put the other one on, then the third one, and finally the flame went down. Well, now, yeah, it burned all the way. It burned through my printer.
Was it the printer that was on fire?
It was. I have candles. I'm a candle person, right? So I always have candles burning. And they burn inside of a container, always have. But for some reason, I don't know what happened with this candle.
They have
never done it before, right? But yeah. And let me tell you what is really interesting. My product box, My Journey to Me, was right next to the candle. And the book was actually on top of it. It didn't burn. It didn't even get mildly burned. I mean, no burner whatsoever. It got ash on it like everything else in the room, but it didn't burn. And it's a cardboard box. And the book is paper. But instead, the flame burned all the way through my aromatherapy machine and through the printer.
Wow. Yeah. I'm so glad that. The things were burnt are things that can be replaced because we can't replace you.
You can't, right? Couldn't. And had I gone to sleep, my house would have definitely. And my master bedroom is on the ground floor, which is where my office is, right? And my office is right close to the front door. So had it gone, it would have been crazy.
This was yesterday?
This happened Saturday morning at about 3 a.m. Saturday morning.
Oh, wow. You could have been deep asleep. Well, I'm really glad that nothing happened to you and that you had the quick thought to, put it down.
And I was calm. I have no, and that is so out of my personality to be calm like that. You know what I mean? I mean, you hear me talk about peace, but peace is something I'd work at to sit in. But to be calm like that was I can only say it was God for real. I mean, for my routine to even be different, I have no other explanation because I'm an extreme routine-ish kind of person, right? So I kind of routinely do things. It's just easier that way because it doesn't take up much brain space by running routines. And so it was, I hadn't even known about this particular Aretha Franklin movie because I love Aretha Franklin.
Which one? What was
right? It was the documentary miniseries. So they did one on Einstein, they did one on another person, and they did one on her. So I'd never even heard about it. And so I said, "Oh, I'll watch this one." And so it was the watching it that kept me awake. I had to go to sleep.
So you had a candle. There's normally no problems. Just keeping, bringing because I'm a candle person. So now you'll make me watch my candles a little better, right? Because you never know, right? And you're watching a movie, the alarm's going off. And you're like, "What is that dumb alarm? Click up."
Yeah, and I'm going to turn it. That's what you understand. I'm
turning it off. Meanwhile, a fire is blazing in your office, but you have the presence of mind to. Because that right there, you went and you firewoman, you went and put that fire out. You went and got some sheets or what'd you get? What'd you get? And
towels, big, huge, heavy, big, huge towels, and just put them in cold water, stop them wet. And as I'm going, I'm like, oh God, my hardwood floors is going to mess up my floors. That's what I'm thinking as I'm dripping this water towards my office to put out the flames. That's what I'm thinking about. And I go, oh my gosh, my floors.
Okay. I want to say that if you had to put the flame out, the hardwood floors, the whole house. The whole house.
The whole house.
Oh my God. So you put the fire out and then you was like, what in the world caused this?
And then literally once the fire was out, I sat down on the couch and I literally said, okay, what was that about? And that's literally what I said. I said, okay, what was that about? That's literally what I said. Because it just doesn't make it. It didn't make any sense to me, right? It didn't make any sense to me. Because I didn't do, if you said, oh, I've never burned candles before, or I've never had a candle in that spot, or, if you had this, but understand, I've been burning candles in my office since I've had my office.
I burn candles in here. Well, there's no burn. I have the little aromatherapy, the little thing, the poof, the little steam. I got that going there. Right. But before I purchased that, it was all about the candles. And when I was still downstairs in my husband's office, so I said, you know what? Let me go back upstairs to my office. I was still burning candles downstairs. Now, he would always say, can you keep an eye on the candles? And now you just showing me why I might need to be in the same room with the candle, right?
Yeah, because I didn't burn all the way through my aromatherapy machine. My aromatherapy machine was just melted.
Was it right through the candle? Or just the flame? So what caught fire?
It was the flame. So when it caught fire, but the part that I have to say, how did the flame not burn through my product box? But everything else burned through was plastic. Understand? Everything else was plastic and kind of metalish. Right, that it burned through. But the cardboard box and the book.
Did it burn around?
It went to the total different side. So the box, totally fine. Totally fine. The book, totally fine.
It went the opposite direction. I'm not a fireman. But is there windows open and is there a source of air?
No, I have no window. No wind.
You guys withdraw the fire to draw oxygen. Something could draw the fire to the other side of the room.
Yeah, and it just went towards the printer.
Okay.
I guess it didn't want to in my product box. because I just, yeah, that was the biggest thing to me, because I had a life coaching session
Oh my
Sunday,
God.
and I was telling my coach about, the fire situation. And I said, it's so weird though. I said, my box is there and the box is fine. She goes, what box is that? I said, my product box. She goes, that's the product box we've been talking about, that you really feel like you really want to launch this product, but for whatever reason, you've never launched this product. And I said, yes, that same box, funny enough. And the book sitting on top of it.
What's in this box?
It's the book. The box is, in fact, let me go get the box.
Because you talking about this box. Does anybody else besides me want to know what's in the daggone box? I mean, the product box. What are the products in the product box? Oh, so okay. Can I tell you? I was just telling them that Charmaine, my friend Charmaine, that was on here, that was supposed to be joining us. Last week, she told she wasn't going to be here last week, and then this week she's not here because her husband unexpectedly. We believe, because we're still waiting for the final results of the autopsy, that it might have been a brain aneurysm.
Oh.
He was just carrying a television, and the DoorDash people found him. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And so she is, as you can imagine, she's devastated.
Of course.
She's devastated. The love of her life. They've been married for 16 years.
Oh wow.
And so they've been married pretty much all of her. That was her first real everything, right? First real boyfriend, first real, right? And it's just like, one day you hear and they say you're gone, so this has been like today. I'm gonna just tell you, today's my mother's birthday. But my mother's had her wings in 2006. So it's a really tough day for my older sister. Every year she's just really sad, right? But I choose to celebrate, but she's still sad. It makes her very sad. So I'm with Charmaine to help Charmaine to figure out, the next steps.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Trying to be there for your sisters.
Yeah.
And my aunt, my mother's baby sister, today was her viewing. Tomorrow's her funeral.
Oh wow.
It's a lot, right?
It's a lot.
It's
a lot. It's a lot. And it's a reminder. I told Charmaine today, because we're just trying to take care of all of it. We're just going to let when you're in the middle of it, you need somebody to be right there beside you with the checklist. Okay, that's what we need to get done.
Yeah.
To kind of keep you all right. We're not gonna focus on that. We're gonna stay out the weeds on that, because that doesn't need to. That's not. We don't have to worry about that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were I'm driving her around and trying to get some things done. I told her, you know what? This is another reminder that yesterday is gone. Tomorrow's not promised. And we need to focus on and enjoy today. How many of us, Stephanie, my name is Stephanie, and I'm always planning for the future. That's not guaranteed. You know what I'm saying?
I have used the future as a coping mechanism for most of my life. When the present isn't great, I've looked to the future and said, well, in the future it will be better. So I just have to get to that point in the future. And if I get to that point in the future, everything will be fabulous there. So I just got
when is that point? When is the point? When does it arrive? When does it ever arrive?
That's a really good point. But I've used it from childhood as a coping mechanism.
Oh,
I'll be older. And then I won't have to go through this, and I'll be this, and then I won't have to do this anymore, and it won't hurt anymore. And I've used it as a real, I call it my fast forward button.
One of my favorite quotes ever is many of my favorite quotes come from some kind of cartoon or children's movie or something like that, which I love. I love all of them. And one of my absolute favorites is from Kung Fu Panda. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift, and that's why it's called the present.
Oh, I love that.
I love it, and it is because tomorrow really doesn't exist. You should make plans and not throw everything, out the cart every day, but it really does not exist. It really doesn't. So this is absolutely a reminder. And our hearts are with Charmaine, and this is such a difficult situation because completely unexpected. There was no disease, something that people were waiting on. So it is incredibly difficult. But yeah, I mean, love and light.
I'm glad we met her so we can be in her corner.
So we can be there for her.
So we can be there for her.
Such a lovely, lovely soul in Wonka, the way she shines through the screen, the way she shines when you see her. So I feel it makes it even easier to send love and light because you can feel that that's the soul that is open to that. So I'm really glad that she's part of our lives and that somehow we can keep her company. Lizzie, I wanted to ask, since we're talking about all these things that are shaking us, we're going to talk about your product box, but I want to ask about, you were talking about responding calmly to this very odd situation of suddenly these things are on fire, literally on fire. And you were talking about how peace is something that you are working on bringing. And I wanted to ask if this is part of it, because this is a completely unexpected event. You were not expecting that something like this was going to happen. So what would have happened if this happened 5 years ago versus the fact that
Jesus,
that it happened now, and how does it reflect on your progress or on your learning?
If this had happened 5 years ago, it would probably have been worse just because of my panic. Because I'd have been frozen in fear and just probably crazily screaming and doing all the wrong things. And I'd have probably ran out the house and I'd have done all kinds of craziness. I wouldn't have. Oh God, 5 years ago, Jesus. It would have been so very different.
If I think of myself in that situation, I cannot imagine, because nobody knows how they're going to react in an emergency situation until it really happens. So we all could have ideas of how much we will panic versus how much we think we have everything planned and not know until it happens. But one part that I can think now would be after the event, after the flames are down, after it happens. If it happened to me just a couple of years ago, when you did the math at the end, there was a printer and an aromatherapy machine loss. Those were the total losses, plus, whatever emotional distress happened during a moment. But if it happened to me today, I would see that. I will eventually just do the math, and the math will be those two things are the loss for this episode that happened. But a couple of years ago, it would have felt like it was the whole house, because it would have produced such a huge wave of panic, of fear, of distress, that it would be not a long shot to imagine the whole house completely gone, even as I was sitting on it and the house will still be intact. That's how much a difference does it do for me to do this kind of work that we do, the kind of personal growth, of bringing peace, of changing, of having coaches, of all this work that we do on ourselves. It does make a difference. I'll tell you something. A couple of years ago, I was doing some things, and I kind of had planned something and put aside the money for it and whatever. And then I was struck with a surprise bill that came that had related to that process. And if I did not pay that fee, the process will stop, right? The fee was like $200, but the amount of panic I went into because of it. And at that point, when I was doing that, I had to put that in a credit card. I didn't have the cash to immediately put it out. So let's just say it was not just something that was there, but it was completely doable and easy. But I remember sitting, like going against the wall and just sliding down on the wall and just curling on the floor, panicking, thinking like everything was ruined and everything I had done, when that was absolutely unnecessary. So that's why I'm so proud of you for the way that you reacted to this situation that happened. And I want to believe that it's the product of everything that you have worked for yourself and the person that you have turned yourself into over the past few years compared to what could have happened in the same situation a few years ago.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, when I called, the phone call that I did make was to the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. I sat down.
You don't call somebody to panic and tell them that there was a huge disaster going on and that I was falling over your head. You did the call that you need to do at that moment. It was just exactly.
I thought about, okay, let me find the insurance. Let's call the insurance because my desk is ruined. Okay, so let's get the insurance and let them know that this has happened right now, so they can't say I didn't report it and all of this stuff. That was my thing. So I sat down, right? Still had the Aretha Franklin movie going, and got on the phone, with the insurance, got the claim number, and and see, remember, guys, I told you I was teaching and I was on the break. So then I went back and I finished my class. And thank God for my MacBook Pro, right? Because my big machines are all in my office, right? So then I had to rejig to finish my class. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, okay, let's get the Mac. Let's see if I can let's get the iPads. And so I just kind of Jimmy rigged me on the kitchen table, which is where I am right now, right in my kitchen. So Jimmy rigged this so I could still have a screen for the workbook, a screen for the Miro board, a screen to see the students, and a little backup screen. So I got my other older iPad and brought that out. So I had a secondary kind of bigger space. And that's what I did. And I had sent them a chat message, guys, I've had a fire. I can't come back on right now. Give me about 20 minutes. Right. I'm just trying to deal with the insurance company. And I finished the class out and we finished at, I guess, 5 a.m. in the morning. Right. And then went back the next day and taught the second part of the class because, again, I booked to do this class. There's all these people there. Right. And taught from here because I attempted today to go into the office to see if I could teach from it, but it's still got that smoky, you know what I mean? I'm going to have them come back again into it and, probably move everything out, like steam all the walls down again and thing. Cause it still feels like after a while I'm in there, I feel like I can't breathe. Like my chest is really tight. So it's probably going to take more and more days to clear it out. So although it looks clean, the air's not right yet. And I've had the windows open every single day. I've kept the windows open apart from when it rained, close the windows and then open them back. But yeah, so my office is not yet functional for me to be able to go back in. So I'm on the kitchen table. This is where I'm very thankful that I do have a portable machine versus,
Have you painted or did you just clean it?
So I haven't painted yet. No, I haven't painted. I've had the walls done and all the walls in the hallway steamed, cleaned, etc. And here is this part, there's nothing. And when I walk down the hallway, there's nothing. But when I go into the office, it's still, you know what I mean? Air still isn't right.
So I was gonna say the maybe stuff gets in the seats in the drywall.
That might be a thing to do. Is to
just paint it. The paint will just take away all that. You'll just go paint.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. So that's probably what I need to do.
I'm not thought of that, but it's a very good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I would take that into account and get in touch with my my lady who does that kind of stuff for me and get it painted.
Where's this product box?
So,
yeah, right. Let's get to that. Come on, Kay.
But you see what I'm talking about? It's cardboard.
Uh-huh.
Right? So you can see where Okay, so you can see where,
Oh, I
It
know
got
what you mean. Sure.
but it's the box. So the box didn't get damaged. The book was literally sitting on top of the box by the candle.
And the book is so the box has the design of the book on it. So what
Right,
is
yeah,
the book?
So it's the My Journey to Me book, right? Which talks about the concept of finding who you are, where you are, and that kind of stuff, right? So that's what the book's all about. And then inside of the box, which still is just so weird that this box still exists.
What
It's
about there's gonna be a candle in there? Go ahead.
So it's got a glass that says, talks about me, myself, and I. Right. So the concept of coming to yourself with yourself. Right. And the affirmation cards that are in here that go with it. And the t-shirt.
That's a great box.
It talks about my journey to me. Right. So I mean, it was good fire material.
We couldn't see the shirt.
Right, the shirt. My journey to me.
I'm just gonna go out and say it. I think it was protected by you. And I don't know if anybody if anybody can give me a physical explanation of how this was not, combustible for whatever reason. I'm absolutely sure it had your protection because it's so important to you, because it's something that you have been, putting your consciousness into, pouring it into it constantly. And I've seen things like that happen so many times that I don't even question them anymore. This is so important to you. It's so valuable to you. It has so much of your essence in it that it's simply, it was simply.
It was.
What are you gonna launch?
Kids.
I am now really so this is the thing. I'm like, my session with my coach, she's like, you've got to now seriously put a date on doing some stuff with that. I mean, you've got to see that this is a moment, right? You do see that. And I said, I hadn't seen it until you pointed it out to me. And I said, I have to be honest, I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it, right? So I talked about it, but I hadn't got the ta-da or anything like that about it. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I'm gonna have, let me think on this now. I'm gonna have to think about, okay, what am I gonna do this? When am I gonna do something about this? So I probably have to do something in June. I probably shouldn't leave it too long. Do you know what I mean? Just because of everything that has happened. And I just kind of think it's got to be like some kind of sign.
It's a sign.
Because
I'm saying,
when you speak about the whole purpose of the book and the box and what it represents, which is coming into yourself, right? You're shedding, you're letting go, you're releasing. And to me, when I think of the fire, it's like everything is burning away. What's old is letting go so that people can step into, right? And so everything around has to be let go, but yet the box still remains because it's the self.
I agree that all the decorations went up in flames and the essence was the only thing that was left there. So I agree, you should see that as a sign.
Because our spirit is left.
I understand that there's a lot of logistics into launching something, but besides logistics or money or something that requires a certain, is there anything else besides? I mean, it's there, it's beautiful, it looks great. Why is it
content?
I feel like it's paralysis.
I think I had some time back, I'd had a team around this, right? So, I used to have a really quite large team that used to work on these things for me. And to this day, I still can't tell you what happened, why the product never went out. Mm-hmm. So I know there was a marketing campaign set for it. I know there's all this stuff that was set for it, and, but nothing ever happened with it. Nothing did. And I never had a real answer in it. And, with all the other things I do, I'm busy. So I didn't really ever sit back and think, well, why on earth did this never do what it was supposed to do? Why did it never get launched? Because, when you think about my schedule back then, my every 2 days being someplace else, I really didn't have that chance to sit back. But I am a big believer that things happen when they're supposed to.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm a big believer of that. If I think about who I am today and where I am today versus where I was, when was this supposed to have gone? 2018 was when this was supposed to have originally had a launch date, was 2018. Me today and me 2018 are very different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The growth of me and even the growth of my believing in myself on a deep level, right?
So can I tell you
It's
something,
very
though?
different. Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie.
So can I tell you that I never really heard of a product box to the most people, right? Until like me, Stephanie. It may have been, but until like the pandemic, like to that level, like people being intentional about the product box, but outside of cosmetics and then my direct sales, right? But like just with a book and all this, like mostly, I mean, I would see occasionally, but not now. It's a thing. Now it's a thing. Everybody's trying to have a box.
Oh wow.
So I'm telling you that you were on the cusp of, you know, in 2018 exactly. You knew exactly what you were. If you'd have bursted out right then and there, you would have been like one of the first, like in the entrepreneurship world, should I say?
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, the first box I got, I want to say it was Tony Robbins and someone that did, like, went to one of their virtual events, and you know, right, and they sent me this awesome box, and I was like, wow, in the box. Matter of fact, this was in the box. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the things I have. Believe Life Journal, which I think is the most fabulous journal, okay, because I love that it's like a real book. I can feel it. It feels soft, but it just look like it's just. I mean, I love the real, right, and has a little fancy stuff. And I still use these things on my little, because everybody's virtual now. So I'm like, y'all seen them? You seen them, right?
Right.
Them in the box, along with the workbook, which is probably right over here too. And I still have those things. But I was so pumped to get this doggone box. I mean, I was like looking for the box. When that box arrived, I was like, yes, it's on a great water bottle, because they want to make sure you were hydrated. They even tell you to take a drink.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, that box was like, ooh, now that's an idea. So much so that after that, every time I was on, you know, I'm in a group and they were thinking about how to liven up their virtual thing so it wouldn't be so blah, blah, blah. I was like, send them a gift, send them a box.
I have 100 of these boxes already.
Yeah, one person sends it. Like some people, if you don't have money, you can send a.
There's 100 of them upstairs. There's 100 of those boxes.
Now you're in Clubhouse. You're in Clubhouse, and I'm in there with you.
I know.
And you said, and everybody following you. If you simply said, "Listen, if you want, what's the name of your box again?"
My Journey to Me box.
So listen, I have limited numbers of My Journey to Me boxes. If you're in, blah, 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 blah. You think it would be hitting you up for those boxes, and now that you have the little button on your thing now that says "Pay Me Now," that you can write on your profile, boop, done.
I didn't even know. Oh my gosh!
Shut the front door, girl. Yes, ma'am.
Oh wow! Yeah, I got all these boxes.
Yes, ma'am. So, and I mean, I'm just saying, because it's just I'm sitting here right now, and I'm like, I'm a junkie of a t-shirt, a good t-shirt. First of all, the glass to me is a tumbler, which means it could be orange juice, but in my case, a glass of wine.
Yeah. And
You
then
know what I'm saying?
around when everyone get their boxes, have a day event where everybody comes live. They have their glass of whatever they decide to drink. You're reading the book, having a discussion, and it's a whole event.
It's a whole event. Look, that's the workbook.
Yeah, and there is, because there was a course I built for it as well. So there's a journal. There's a journal that people can download. I can probably actually get those printed, I guess. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that. You're a good idea about a little event.
Lizzie, I'm dying to see if you would share one of those cards with us.
Oh,
Yeah, share an affirmation.
There?
on the card.
And the affirmations.
Yeah.
Listen, that alone is powerful.
That is usually a product on its own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You're right.
But I'm,
Right,
I'm
so-
trying to hear at
I got
least
so many
one.
things. I got so many
Okay,
things that
so-
somebody sold me for $10 that it's just you wouldn't believe it. If you got a product I can use in my business, I'm buying
So
it.
here's one of them that I've just pulled. Today, I am grateful that I am still in the transition of discovering who I can be and what I can do as a woman. I embrace these discoveries and I do not negate them with conventional labels. I have no mistakes, nor do I have no regrets. I only have steps that are taking me closer to the woman I am designed to be.
Does it sound like it's absolutely perfect for today?
Exactly.
For everything that has happened in the conversation that we are
Oh my
having.
God. Yeah, even when you think about the tragedy that our sister's gone through.
Yeah, launch.
It-
Speaking of Charmaine, you know, when she was talking about, like, she's, you know, how she talks about love and different things. So she launched greeting cards.
I can't wait
Fabulous
to
cards.
greeting cards.
Did you get some of her cards?
I did. I saw her cards. Yes.
Oh my God! I worked with them. They're back in the office, but downstairs. But they are fabulous. She kept talking about it. I was like, launch it. Launched it. Cards flying off the shelf. Greeting cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm saying, listen, when the idea comes to mind, if it comes to such a place that you create a box and you create something that you love and you can touch it, you can feel it, and you love it enough, feel the fear, and what? Do it.
Do it. Just do it. Yeah.
And because what they said, that what did someone, I don't think Les Brown said it, but I think he got it from somebody else that said that in the graveyard is not, you right, think it's a bunch of bodies buried there, but for real, it's just a bunch more great ideas and dreams that are buried in
Right.
And I would like to add to that one. There's a lot of dreams that are dead and that are dead because nobody's moving forward on it, but people that are walking around that are alive.
Zombie dreams.
Exactly. You know what they said. You know somebody once said to us, if you've ever said, "Man, they stole my idea," right?
Yes. Right.
They stole my idea. I thought about that back in 1997. No.
They
They
just
didn't steal your idea. They stole their idea. See, you was thinking about it. They actually acted on it. So they stole. You was thinking about something. They acted on it. So therefore, it was their idea.
You know, this week I read exactly that concept, a very beautiful version of that concept. I was rereading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she was saying that she believes, do you guys remember who was it? Aristotle or Plato, who talked about the world of ideas? Like there's a material world and there's a world of ideas. So that she believed in that concept where ideas have a life and they're looking for a vessel. And you will see in the world over and over again that many people have the same idea at the same time. If it's something huge, it's probably two people at the same time, like Apple and the other computer, Microsoft. You know, it was happening at the same time. So all these things are happening at the same time because the ideas are dying to be born. They are desperate to be born, and they're looking for vessels. And there's even a beautiful story that she tells about how you have the idea, you allow it to come through you, and if for whatever reason you cannot give birth to it, then just let it go and don't do the whole thing of thinking that was my thing, that was my idea, because it was the idea only belongs to itself. And she tells this awesome story about a book that she started to write. And she even got the advance for it and the authorization from the publisher and everything. And then life just took a left turn, like a really, really left turn. So she stopped the story. And then during that time, because of her new situation in life, she ended up writing her second memoir that is called Committed. That's what she ended up writing during that time instead of the original novel. So she says the original novel was the story of a middle-aged woman from Minnesota that goes down to Brazil and gets in trouble. And there's some very specifics to it. And then she met another writer and they became really great friends. And she remembers, how they hugged and everything. And one time when they were re-encountered again, the other one asked, "What are you working at?" She asked the other writer, "What are you working on?" And she said, "Oh, I'm writing this novel. It's a little crazy. It's about this middle-aged woman from Minnesota that goes down to Brazil and gets in a lot of trouble." It was the exact same book. And this was not something like, a vampire story. Everybody has a vampire story or something like this. Is something that thinks about a middle-aged woman from Minnesota going down to Brazil. Nobody thinks about that. So she was saying, I'm absolutely sure that when the idea left me because I didn't have time for her, it passed to the other person and found the vessel and found a way to be born. Wow. So the idea reading for their vessels to pull them down and put them out there. And you shall never say that was my idea, because all you didn't do was let it come into life. It was there, it wanted to come to life, and for whatever reason you passed. So the idea found another vessel, and that's how it comes to become.
Wow.
So.
Wow. That is really something.
Yeah, that was really good.
That's really something about that. The idea is the idea itself, and it's just looking for a vessel.
I like that. I like that because it's a very common feeling. It's a very common feeling that you don't want to put your thing out there because you think it's already been done, and the truth is it has not been done by you.
But your way. It's always, what someone once said, how we're talking about, don't be a copycat. Or don't be an original. The truth of the matter is there is no real original.
There's no original.
There's always, I bet you, I don't care what
after 40,000 years of humanity, there's no way we are doing something original. It's 40,000 years of people doing things.
That's it.
There's no way that we're
bringing ourselves to the thing that makes it unique and different. It's us. That's the individual.
It's you as the vessel, as the portrayer of the idea. You are the difference. The idea
it's like quotes. Mm-hmm. I bet you right now, like how you can come with a quote and it sounds fabulous. It sounds like it's brand new, it's fresh, it's yours, it's your spin on it. But if we put that quote in, we'll Google it with the good old Google University, as I like to call it, right up there with YouTube University. If you YouTube it or Google it or whatever, you're going to find somebody that said some rendition of it, which is where you heard it somewhere, sometime, right? But you put your spin on it. Mm-hmm. Example, it's a quote I love to say, but I swear to you, it's about 1 million ways to say it. Dr. Sherwood says that your story is about you, but it's not for you. Mm-hmm. But there's 1 million different ways that it can be said. And people have said it, and it's a quote. I just quoted her. But I could say it some other kind of way, change one word, and it becomes my quote, right? Stephanie said. And if I don't remember it right, but there are some people that get really pissed off. Like I folks or something sound like me. And you're sounding like somebody else. Everybody, we're all
echoing.
We're repeating, we're learning, we're regurgitating, or whatever. We've learned it somewhere, and somebody else learned it somewhere else, and then somebody else learned it somewhere. If I don't care, Bob Proctor quotes this one quotes that one, so and so quotes that. And after a while, you're like, so sometimes I'm like, I heard a great quote, and I don't know who said it. I said somebody said it. I heard it somewhere. And then sometimes I'll say, now listen, I like to take credit for that quote because it sounded good. It felt like it was mine, but I'm sure somebody said it somewhere. Even if they didn't, it felt like somebody could have said it. But there's no original. Even us, even our DNA.
I like this concept that we are sharing, that we are just echoing each other. But when you're an entrepreneur or when you're putting yourself out there, what you're selling is the sound of your voice.
Yeah.
Over whatever
personality, your energy.
You're selling your voice. That's it. It's the same content. It's the same idea. eventually somebody will do it. You will never trace who was first on anything, but it's your voice, what you're putting out there. And that should be a lesson for us to just put things out there. Just put them, because it's not about how original it is, how interesting it is, how is it that nobody has done it. It's about the sound of your voice on it. That's what you're selling.
Right. And like Kay said, your energy. Because how many of us have, you might know 4 transformational coaches, right? You might need a transformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to kind of check them all out, and the one that vibes with you, the one that feels good to your spirit, is the one you're going with.
Yeah, because that's the idea.
If they don't like you, they're not buying from you.
Yeah, and I like that as that vibration, right? Because I believe everybody's voice carries a vibration.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the vibration registers with certain people because they're the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So that vibration, that's the vibration for them. That resonates, right? Whereas somebody else has another vibration, it resonates to them. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's so important when we talk about sisterhood and coming together, that we come away from the concept of competition and we come into collaboration.
Come on, talk about it.
Right, because when you come into collaboration, I don't have to compete, because your tribe is your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I come in and assist you with your tribe, they're your tribe. They came to the beat of your drum.
That's right.
That's the beat that they flow to. My tribe comes to the beat of my drum, because that's we've all been here for someone, some people, right? And this is one of the reasons why on my Talking Thursday, so Thursdays on the My Coach Lizzie thing, right? I talk about Talking Thursdays, and I've been talking about it's so important for you to let your vibration of your voice out. If you don't tell your story your way, right, the vibration won't be there. And sometimes there are years before you have a story to tell, because I call it your backdrop story, because it's been conceived and it's been written for you, right? Life's events, all this stuff is writing this fabulous backdrop for you. But there's a point at which there's enough in the backdrop now to create a backdrop. You know what I mean? So there's a backdrop now that's been created that now time gives you this stage. And when time presents you your stage, it's time for you to speak that story, express yourself, and share what has brought you to being you at this juncture of your life. Because I mean, the stories are still written. We're like a book that's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then you've got a sequel, right? So we are there, and I would hope that one of the things with the link, right? The hope is that we inspire women to start to come together. It's like, I'm really pleased to see how many people are in the link group. And I want to give that a quick push before I forget, that please join the Link Sisterhood. You can find us with pink, right? And you can find us there on Facebook. Join the group, come on in, meet people, etc. And I put a little challenge out this week for people to kind of just talk about themselves a little bit, so everybody gets to know everybody. You know what I mean? And so the link will form. So I think about the concept of when this was sitting, and I'm like, oh, there's some women somewhere I just know who would have this vision with me, right? To help women link together and empower women. And then boom, here you all came, and we shared this thing, and then we started this group, and it was kind of empty, and now there's people in it. So I'm watching this thing start to emerge and start to live and to breathe and to grow, because all the essences are coming together. Collaboration's happening. And collaboration is powerful, especially when women collaborate. And I'm sorry, men, I'm not saying anything nasty about you, but there's something about the creative essence of women coming together, that power of creativity, all coming together and just bringing off, it creates life. Life just starts happening, brings life, brings renewal, brings hope. Right? Because that's all the things that come with sisterhood. It means you're never walking again alone. You've always got somebody there.
Supporting.
Yes. I think that's exciting and it's a gift. I think it's a gift, and so many people don't realize they're looking for that gift.
I have a question for the group. So, and I've been thinking about it all day today, and I think because it's of all the loss, right, the experience. What would you do? What would you reset if you could hit a reset button in your life?
Oh Lord, let me chew. Let me chew. Let me chew. Let me chew on that one. What would I reset?
That is very interesting because you can never, I think it's not fair to say that you can go back to being 20 years old with the wisdom that you have today, So that will be cheating. That's not really resetting the button.
But we wish we could. Maybe not 20-year-old, because I could have a 20-year-old body. Can I, is there a compromise?
But I think for me, what would I reset would be what I would like to have that I have now, and I would like to have it had earlier in life, is that ability to navigate through anxiety and not allow it to drown me. As I said a few minutes ago, 2 years ago, I found myself curled on a corner over a couple $100 that very easily in a month or so, I had sold everything that had to do with that. So it was, and I would like to reset that. I would like to reset that, having those incredibly painful experiences that were completely in my head and did not really exist in, let's say, in real life, in the real world. Is that what you meant, Stephanie?
Yes, it is. Whatever. I just want to know what you want to reset. And I like that you want to reset that experience, that you would handle it differently. That you would be able to deal with it. And you have to deal with that, and not that, like you came to you back then. It took longer for you to get from this part of your brain to the front of it, but now it's lightning. You just want to be able to have that kind of speed to be able to navigate that. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, I could have gone through it without the pain. Kate.
I think for me, the funny thing is, me in my 20s, I was a different 20-year-old compared to me in my 40s, who's thinking I have to be so responsible and just I'm more limited in my 40s than I was in my 20s from a mindset perspective. Which I'm sitting here thinking, like, I thought about saying, well, if my mindset was different in my 20s of what the mindset I have now, but the mindset that I had in my 20s was just like a firecracker. Like, I wasn't afraid. I was willing to risk more. Now at 40, I'm like, okay, I got to be responsible. I'm 40 something years old. You can't make, those same mistakes. So it's like, I'm asking myself that question. Like, sometimes I wish I could reset back to that 20-year-old, just that fire, and just push the go button that time and just jump off the cliff.
I miss the cockiness that I had back then. Oh, and I miss that conviction that I just knew it all. And I miss it so much. I wish because now it's like, like we're talking about, for example, launching products, putting yourself out there, taking that step. If I was, 19 or 20, poof, police. Had I been 19 in this era of the internet and everything just online, I'll be a superstar. Because I was not afraid, and I knew it all, and I was always right, which was pretty annoying. But I miss feeling that intensity and that cockiness.
Yeah, I was very arrogant in my 20s.
Oh, Yeah.
I think it's almost a must. And if people miss the opportunity to have just free spirit in their 20s, man, that's gonna be the one regret, that they didn't have a free spirit. Because you have those memories, man. You could, those people that were with you during that time. That's when you have those say, you remember what, girl? Do you remember when we? I just told my sister the other day. You remember that time we were on the hills with the binoculars? She was like, I just told somebody the story the other day about us being on that hill with binoculars. I was like, there's no shame in our game, baby. We were the best investigators. We're gonna pull no wool over our eyes, okay? But I said, but when you think back on it, it's like, wow, we were gonna find out. We were gonna, folks said it wasn't me. Oh, it was you, because I got the binoculars. That I saw you from my own 2 eyes. Okay, Eddie Murphy didn't say that she didn't see you. That she lay eyes on you. I laid eyes because I was on the hill with the binoculars, right? But
I think for me, if there was a moment I would have reset, I would have reset a moment where I got uncharacteristically angry and vengeful.
Mm-hmm.
And I would reset that moment and have let go. Just let it be. So if I was going to reset one moment in my life, that's the moment I would reset. I would have just let it be. Instead of being so angry and vengeful that I'm going to get back what's mine. I don't care what it would cost me. If I was going to reset, I would let it go.
I used to call that moment when I played myself. That moment when I just played my entire self and made, just put yourself all the way out there. And it's like at the end of the day, the person that did that, you came out feeling more shamed than the
because
the anger about what took place.
It cost me so much for so many years after, and it literally possessed me for like about a year. Just going after revenge for about a year and a half. I was absolutely possessed by it, of wanting to get my justice. And I would reset that, because I could have, in that span of time, I could have just been rebuilding. Do you know what I mean? I could have just let it go and just admit it, starting over, and have just started over from where I was and just built from where I was. And at the time, I didn't know how to do it. It was at the time I had gone and been homeless, right? So it was my second batch of being homeless, because I had agreed to something. This is an ex-husband of mine, right? I'd agreed to make a move with him, and he made a really bad business deal, and it was really bad. And I lost a lot of my property, the majority of it, but I believed I had one left. So I believed I still had one left. And it had come to the point where I wanted now to sell that one property to kind of start over. And when I made the phone call to find out about the property didn't exist anymore. And the rage, the internal rage I felt about it was so overwhelming that it wasn't tears. It wasn't, oh my God, it was just anger, blind rage, anger. And I was going to get that back, because the property was worth like £435,000, which is over, $500,000. And that was supposed to be my nest egg for me and my children. And I just didn't know. I didn't have it. I didn't have it in me to let it go. So for a year and a half, I was consumed with revenge for whatever means necessary, getting mine back from that. And it was damaging, because, again, out of character, right? Because my character is a very forgiving, loving person. That's my character. That's my innate character, right? And I stepped right out of character and stayed out of character for a good 2.5, yeah, but probably about 2.5 years, to be honest. I stayed out of character in that space, trying and wanting to get this back and gonna give it back and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do, and I aligned with people I had no business aligning with, just a whole bunch of stuff that I did out of this mode of wanting to get mine back. So if I were to reset anything, that would be it. And if I were to offer advice to people from that moment is, no matter how painful it is, never feel anybody's taken anything from you. Even if they have, let it go. Gift it.
Let it come back.
Gift it. Gift it. Give it away.
You know, it's like that's the price of your freedom. You know, whatever the price of the property was, in the end was the price of your freedom, because it sounds like whatever happened means you really didn't need to get out of there as far as possible. You know, it sounds like it was a situation where it was better to just run empty-handed than trying to, you know.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's what it should have been. I should have been running for dear life instead of doing the classic Saul's wife looking back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The let me look back. I think what's there is so much better, and I can take what's there and bring it with me to here. Right. And some things don't cross over.
And there are a lot of people who are doing that today, trying to take things from back there with them in their present, and it's really holding them down and keeping them stagnant.
Yeah.
If they don't know how to let it go and release it and know that the thing that's meant for them and the greater is coming once you release.
Yes, you've got to make room, because your greater, your better, it really is better than what you have right now. But you've got to let go. And if you don't let go.
But it's the illusion.
It's the illusion. It is.
It's
a good one. Such a good illusion.
How about, since we're about to wrap up, we're at the hour, Lizzie, that's what you will say to yourself if you could travel back, and you knew that yourself will believe you, because we don't know if yourself will believe you at that moment. But how about we tell what we will tell ourselves and anyone who will listen, if we could do that, if we could reset, like Stephanie said. Steph,
Okay.
What would you do? You have an answer. What would you do?
Well, I would say so. I have so many things I would reset. So the one thing that I know I would reset was that even though at the time when I was younger, I had asthma. So there was a different time. They didn't have all this medication they have now. So I never played sports. So that's a regret that I have. But I would try things despite what the world says I can't do, and then let the body or whatever, my mind, let me try it at first before somebody tell me I can't do it.
Wow.
And then what I would tell myself is whatever gets you to where you are in your life right then and there, whatever's been working to get you to that point will not get you to your next. You're going to have to go get some more skills, and don't be afraid to go get them. Go get what you need to go to your next, and just keep repeating, and know that whatever gets you to your next won't get you to your next, and what gets you to your next won't get you to your next, and so forth and so on.
I like that. Yes.
Okay, what would you do if you could go back to that fearless 20-year-old? What would you say, or what would you reset?
I would just say, do it. As I think Stephanie mentioned this earlier, do it regardless of the fear, because out of the fear comes lessons, and out of the lessons you grow. And so, yes, there's a need to be responsible, but there's also, like you said, that idea that's burning on the inside of you that was planted inside of you. So go for it. And you can never go to your grave saying, I wish I would have, could have, should have.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice. I would go and tell myself, learn to be alone. Don't be afraid of being alone, because every mistake that I can think that I made was desperately trying to not be alone. And turns out I'm actually pretty good company to myself. So I will try to tell that 20-year-old, learn to be alone, and you'll see it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That one's
That's a big one. That's a big one. I would tell myself it's not as bad as it seems. It's gonna be okay. Keep living. It's gonna be okay. Because one of the biggest battles I had during those years were battles with suicide over and over and over again. So I would say to myself, it's actually going to be okay. You know, you're going to be all right. You can go through this. You're going to be able. You're going to be good. You're actually going to be good. You haven't failed. You're going to be just fine. So that's what I would say. That's what I would say to myself. Because I think if I did, looking back, if I did more focus on living and going through than I did focus on blaming myself and thinking I was the problem, I could have made a lot of more things happen.
You know what? When you said that, I was thinking that you were going to say the focus on living instead of focusing on trying to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're trying to focus on staying alive, really you're focusing on that, right?
Right.
And what the mind believes, the body will, right, achieve and conceive, right?
Right.
And so focus on living. I mean, like living, like really enjoying today.
Mm-hmm.
And let tomorrow, that'll be a new today.
Right, exactly.
Really, yeah. I mean, I think it seems so simple. And
But
why
it's
so far,
not. It's not a thing that we do well in grasping. So I think it's almost like a life lesson that has to consistently be shared daily from older women to younger women and older women to older women and younger women to younger women. And, you know, it's that thing in that sisterhood of you have today and it's beautiful.
I think people think you're irresponsible. If you say, what you doing tomorrow? I don't know. I'm just going to live today.
Yeah, just enjoy, be with yourself in the moment. Be with yourself in the moment and be grateful. I think if somebody had taught me gratitude years ago, right? Taking the moment just to be grateful and thankful, that would have been a powerful tool in my toolkit. That would have been a powerful tool in my toolkit. So I think often the things we are through self-development, the things we are learning and coming into, I think these are some of the things we have to share. Things like that, you know, well, everybody talks about gratitude. Everything's about thinking yourself.
Like your box, and the things inside that box.
Right. But no, we still got to realize everybody hasn't got the message yet. And it needs to become as common as a remote control. It needs to become that common that people spend time being grateful for just being.
Lizzie, raise your box back up, please.
Okay.
And I thought you could have ended with the affirmation again. And with the affirmation.
That was beautiful. Okay. Right. The affirmation, show the box, and then tell the people how they can get one of those amazing boxes.
Okay, I tell you what, reach out to us in the Facebook group or DM me on LinkedIn and I will send you a box. Because you see, it's the woman of many nations. Yes. Because there's many of us, right? One womanhood doesn't look one way. Mm-hmm. There's so much to us. We all look different, right? But we all are sharing this fabulous thing called life. It's one thing that unites everybody. Is the journey of life. No matter what your skin color is, your ethnicity, the country you come from, how old you are, how young you are, you're doing the thing called life. As long as you're breathing, you're doing it. So here's that affirmation again that we read earlier. Today, I am grateful that I'm still in the transition of discovering who I can be and what I can do as a woman. I embrace these discoveries and do not negate them with conventional labels. I have no mistakes, nor do I have any regrets. I only have steps that are taking me closer to the woman I'm designed to be. So as we are closing, we want to say thank you to everybody for watching, for joining the group, and we just want to encourage you to be grateful for your moments. enjoy them, embrace them, and link with other women and help them, support them to be able to be grateful and embrace their moments. Thank you all so much for joining us on the link tonight. Please remember to send huge hearts and thoughts and prayers to Charmaine as she is going through this transition of grief in losing the person who has been her greatest love. So let's send lots of love her way. Think about her, and as you think about her, please send her lots and lots of love. Take care and have you a wonderful rest of the week. Glad we were able to be here and share this day with you. Have a great week, ladies.